Hey, this is the Wiggly Owl. I'm your host. Your host Roman here with Josh, Beast,
Yo,
and
it's cancer
Vincent.
season.
Hey, this is the Wiggly Owl. I'm your host. Your host Roman here with Josh. So, basically, like to this week, like I don't give a shit what we talk about. We're just gonna talk about whatever we want to talk about. So.
Whatever we think of, because it's always like we start bullshitting after the show, and half the time that's better than what we say on the show. So it's better if we're just unscripted, raw, natural, whatever.
She likes it
Of
raw.
course.
We
All
don't
right,
even
since
wrong.
all right, so since Josh, since you're so cocky, what are you thinking now? Like what
What do you want to talk? You want me to talk about what I was talking about before?
Coffee
yeah.
chat.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Like, 'cause,
So for those of you that don't
the show
know,
is great.
Oh, yeah,
I want to hear it. I want to hear more
for
about
those of you
it.
that don't know, so I wasn't circumcised until I was 24. Okay, my dad didn't want it done to me as a baby because he thought it was mean.
Your
Now
dad sucks. Your dad sucks.
it's a lot meaner to have it done at the age of 24 because I can fucking remember everything. But the reason I got it done is like, I guess most people that are uncircumcised can retract the foreskin a little bit. I couldn't. I had phimosis, right? So that was an issue with premature ejaculation. That was an issue with like UTI, shit like that. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get it done. So I go in for the fucking consultation and they're like, what are you here for? I'm like, oh, I'm just getting a little taken off the top. You know what I mean? No big deal. But I'm sitting there for the consultation. It's like an older gentleman. Um, and he's walking me through the process. He's like, basically, he's like, the way it's going to work is you got two options. Either you can lay back with headphones and just watch videos on Netflix, or we can put you under. And I was like, put me under. Like, I don't care if you got to use a fucking frying pan, put me under. If I look down and see anything, I'm not having sex for a year. So just put me under. So I go in for the day of the consultation and, I'm like, hey, I shaved for this. I feel like a fucking woman, right? I'm like, give me new car smell, whatever. They put me under, they do the procedure, everything's fine. And then I'm talking to the guy after the fact, and he's like, oh, yeah, everything's done. I did a beautiful job. It's like, okay, you cut off some dick skin. You didn't paint the Mona Lisa. Let's be real. But then after that, the recovery process was fucking hell because I was like my own alarm clock every morning. Like what would naturally happen would happen, and I would wake myself up and I'd be like, fuck, this hurts. So I'd be like, nuns, really old nuns, Renee Zellweger. Okay, God. But after the fact, everything's fine now, but it was a lot worse to have it done at the age of 24 than it would be when I was a baby and I couldn't fucking remember. So there's that.
Yo, I think I've seen you before, Josh, too, man. I think I've seen you before. This elephant was talking about some guy that was naked in the jungle, and he said, how you breathe through that thing?
What, breathe through his dick?
Well,
That's what it looks like. It's like a little
you making an elephant joke? Oh, you hack! Oh my god, you fucking hack!
well, hey, Josh, I hope you got the doctor next.
Did you just pick up?
Yeah, I told him to keep the tip. I'll take the
I
wanted it. I wanted to make it into a necklace. He wouldn't let me keep it. So
yeah, like in a really weird,
douchebag.
morbid way.
You
Did you
douchebag.
get to keep it?
no, I didn't ask to keep it. I didn't want to keep it. I was like, I told him to take a little off the top, and he did literally.
You don't want.
Oh, shit.
You're
He
frozen,
died.
Vince.
He died.
That's scary.
Oh no!
Wake
What if
up,
he's like
Jesus.
really just
died.
Jesus, wake
strict.
up.
Like
Wake
what if
up.
he's not frozen? He's just really good at stopping mid-sentence.
Jesus, wake up.
But no, actually, I want to talk to you about this, like, because like that's like I don't know, that's a big issue now because I think that honestly, like circumcision, I think that I honestly kind of
I
think
think
it's
it's a lot.
barbaric.
It's a lot
very,
healthier. Get it done.
Wait, you
the kids
think
aren't
it's
gonna remember
barbaric?
Yes, because like it's like
It's more hygienic. You have less risk of a UTI, big time.
Yeah, but that's like if you live in like certain countries, like it's if you live in like a high risk area for STDs or whatever, it can be bad. But I feel like it is like you are cutting off like
It's like a dick skin condom, basically.
yeah, but like it is somewhat of a mutilation of a boy, of a like small child.
Right, but they're not going to remember it. You know what I mean? Like you're better off hearing it now than
Yeah.
later on. You know, but
Right. But I feel like
being a person with both and having sex with both and everything, I would much rather be circumcised than uncircumcised. 100%.
True, but that's because you're in like a society that has everyone circumcised.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know that. Like, I'm not looking at a bunch of dudes' dicks. Like, I don't care, right? Like,
right. But the thing is, like, what I actually have noticed is that, like, I have worn a bathing suit. You know, has the mesh in it, and I actually have to wear. I actually have to wear boxers or underwear underneath because walking around, my dickhead gets chafed by that shit.
Maybe you just need a
that is what that is what the foreskin protects. It protects like your dickhead getting like chafed by shit.
Sure, or just don't wear mesh. You know what I mean? What were you saying?
I know. I'm saying like back in the day.
Sure.
As someone who had it done when I was a baby, like I never had that issue. Maybe my
dad had it done as a baby. You don't remember, right? Like you're not getting erect as a baby, obviously. You know what I mean? Like it's much better to have it done at an early age than a later age. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, granted, I'm biased, but also I think uncircumcised dicks just look weird.
They do. They look like a little fucking anti. Now, when you're erect, you can't tell, but when you're soft, you can.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like we're used to looking at like American porn. I feel like if you look at like German porn, which I have, you'll see a lot of like uncircumcised dicks.
Yeah, hell no.
Or you'll see a thing called a semicircle. A semicircle, which is when they have a little bit of the head, but you can't really tell. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no. Like any like European male porn star I've seen has been uncircumcised, or any like non.
Usually, but if I were to look at my dick erect when I was uncircumcised in contrast to now, it looks the same. You really can't tell the difference. It's just when it's soft that's when you can tell the difference.
Wait. So Josh, I
just want to say pause. I'm not talking about dicks. Pause. Okay, go ahead.
Josh, I'm curious about something just because. So I heard a story once that a guy like you got circumcised later in life, and he found that sex was more pleasurable after the circumcision.
Of course it is. Of course it was.
I lost a lot of feeling. I was much more sensitive being uncircumcised. Or I was much more sensitive being uncircumcised than circumcised. Because like you lose like 30% of the feeling, which is great though, because you can last longer. But I mean, you do lose some of the feeling because like my dick was way more sensitive when it was uncircumcised.
I guess that makes sense because it's a raw, unexposed.
Right. Now, I mean, maybe at first it's a little more sensitive because now your dickhead's being exposed for the first time. But beyond that, there's a lot of nerve endings that you lose getting circumcised.
Josh, when did you first have sex?
19.
And so was the girl scared when you pulled it out?
I was hard. You can't tell.
I thought you said the foreskin didn't retract all the way when you.
No. When it was soft, I couldn't retract it. But when it was hard, it was like it just looked like my dick did now because the skin was pulled so tightly you can't tell. Now when I go back to being soft, like that's when you can tell. So,
but is it like a pig in a blanket,
like an anteater?
But also, is it like? That's what I always wondered, like with uncircumcised dicks, like was it like difficult to piss? Did you have to like pull the hood back?
Sometimes like if it was like cold or whatever, it's like sometimes that would like kind of seal up. My dick would swell until it came through the hole and then it would come out. But like piss can get trapped in there. And like if you don't fully retract the head or clean it really well, that's how you get a UTI. Or like sometimes I would pee and then someone get caught in between the skin and the penis and that would come out later. And like you would smell it too. Like trust me, there's benefits to having it done. I highly recommend having it done.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be done. What the fuck?
Don't blame me. It's not my fucking fault.
I know. I said, your dad sucks. Your dad sucks.
Well, my brothers, some of them don't have it done. They're older than me, and it's like whatever, dude. Like,
they didn't have it done. They didn't have it done. They didn't have it done.
I don't think he had it done to any of us.
But wait. One thing, like, let me ask you, like, you said you had it, like, you had a circumcision, like, what year? Like, what age were you?
Like 24, 23?
No, he said 19. Wait,
19 is when I had sex.
Got circumcised.
When you came, like, what was it like? if you jerked off, would it
There
just
was no
like
difference because
dribble
like
out?
when my dick was erect, it looked just like it does now. You know what I mean? Like there was the skin.
Okay,
Was
so
tight,
it went
that wasn't
down
a fucking
like the
issue.
head. Okay,
Right.
so it's like
It was
not.
when it was soft that was an issue, and I'm not coming when I'm soft. You know what I
Motherfucker
mean?
had a sleeve.
Right. So
He had a sleeve on his dick.
Basically.
it didn't spit out like a fire hose. It wasn't just like
Yeah. Elephant trunk.
Like as far as like being erect and everything was exactly the same. It was just when it was soft that was the difference. But that's also when you do most of your shit.
Okay.
Take a piss,
Okay.
whatever. So
Okay. But no, I kind of think it like
I might have lost a little girth since the skin's not there anymore, but that's such a thin layer, it doesn't really matter.
But no, I honestly think it's like it's kind of like a nowadays like I feel like there's so much you know how to keep it clean. I feel like it's almost like barbaric, like not I won't say barbaric.
How much pain did you go through, Josh, on a
It's
1
like,
to 10?
It's just like you
What
don't
you're
have a
talking about,
choice.
like during the recovery process, it was rough, man. Because like I would have stitches in my dick and I would be erect. And like I would be my own alarm clock every morning, and I couldn't have sex for like a week or two. Once I got the stitches out, I was okay. But there was
you had to try to not to be horny.
Oh,
I didn't try to not to be horny. Just
right.
like
I'd be like I said, I'd be like old nuns, really old nuns.
Oh,
Renee
my
Zellweger.
God. Oh no.
Like, it
Oh
was
no.
rough.
oh yeah, shit.
You know.
Yeah, I could imagine that because and honestly,
But as far as like sensitivity beforehand, like I would come within like a fucking minute. You know, like it was bad because my dick was more sensitive. Like afterwards, now I'm coming in like 2 minutes, so I doubled my record time, but it's still longer. You know what I mean? So, no.
What the fuck?
You guys ever hear?
And that could be just being 19 too, to be fair. So,
No, you guys ever hear the? So you know the comedian Jim Jeffries. You ever hear his joke about circumcision?
no.
No, go ahead.
So he was saying how so he had his son and he was circumcised himself and he had his son circumcised and he was saying like people tell me like, oh, that's so cruel, like how could you do that, why don't you let him make his own decision? Well, see, here's the thing, I did it to my son so that one day women would enjoy having his dick in their mouth.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, okay, I got.
I don't think the chick wants an uncircumcised dick in her mouth.
Jim
She's probably
Jeffries
not gonna know the
is
difference.
Yeah,
Like,
she
I
got
don't-
like away all the crust and all the you know the little
The smegma. The smegma.
you guys get a lot of buildup in there, right, Josh? When you was uncircumcised, you get a lot of lint and stuff in there, like stuff like that.
Maybe not lint, but I mean,
Keep
sure,
it clean.
right? But I mean, that's why you're more prone to UTIs because if you take a piss and some urine gets trapped there and it sits there and you don't shower often enough, or you go to the field in the army for 12 weeks, right? Like, yeah, super easy, right? Like, that's why I was like, I need to have this done, you know? And then,
Yeah, I mean-
like, as far as the TRICARE approval, they're like, yeah, get it done, you know, no problem.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Don't do that
That
to
is
your everybody.
like,
all
it is
the
like-
viewers out there, do not do that to your kids. Please circumcise your son.
Yeah,
As soon
get
as
it,
he's
get it
born,
done.
please.
You'll be doing them a favor.
But
You guys want-
I guess I don't know, but like the thing is like what's I don't know. What the problem with I have is that like it's not their choice. You know, I'm circumcised.
Yeah, well,
And
neither is getting your
circumcised,
children
but it was not my
vaccinated or,
choice.
like chicken
It got-
pox.
Yeah, wait, okay.
Those-
Would you rather have the right to choose to be circumcised or uncircumcised, or just be uncircumcised now?
I don't know. No, that's the
You
thing. Like,
heard
I know
my
people-
situation.
it's weird.
Do you want to deal with what I dealt with?
I don't need a sleeve. I don't need a sleeve on my dick. I don't need a sleeve on my
Exactly. So like, and that's the thing that was like, the child's not going to know anything else. So get it done.
True.
And then they have like 18 or probably at least 12 years to recover before they start having sex, hopefully longer. And then their dick will be used to it. You know what I mean? Like, get it
Yeah.
done and they won't know the difference. Trying to get it done later on in life, much more problematic.
I'm glad you didn't get a like a botched circumcision too, because I would be calling you Botch instead of Josh.
But they fucked my dick up. If they did, I would just get a fucking implant and be like, go ahead, give me an extra 3 inches.
No,
I
I
heard
just
I heard
don't
a-
like-
I heard
I
a
just-
really unfortunate
like
story
I just
about
don't want
boxers.
to be wearing a. I just don't want to wear like a swimsuit with like the mesh.
Well, and there's
of,
different ways they could do it,
It
right?
roasts my
They could do like
fucking
the,
dickhead.
like the star method.
Vincent
or
got
they
a
could
story
just
about
do,
that
like,
shit.
what they did with mine, which is just cut it and pull it back halfway, whatever.
Vincent got a story though. He got a story about that shit.
I got two stories. One of them is more fun than the other one, so I'll do that one first. But so I was on my third date with my girlfriend, right? And we went to a fair and we're walking around, we're looking at the booths and stuff. And so you know how like every fair you have the merchant booths like selling toys, jewelry, clothes, whatever. There was one booth for some reason advocating for don't circumcise your kids. And it's just
Are you serious?
yeah, no, dude, like there was a booth and it's talking about how it's just like it's not their choice, it's mutilation, et cetera, et cetera. Like I'm watching, and so like I said, this is my third date with her, so we haven't had sex yet. And so as we're walking, I'm just like, oh, that's an interesting booth. Maybe a little too much information right now, but I'm glad it was done to me. And then she found out in person later that night, of course. But
Sure.
yeah.
But see, that's the thing though, is like the only people that are advocating
Nice segue.
the only people that are advocating for not being circumcised either haven't dealt with being uncircumcised and then circumcised later on, or probably don't have dicks.
Yeah.
So you don't get a fucking say.
You probably have paper clips and lint and paper ball. Yeah, all kinds
Do you
of
think my dick is in my pocket? What do you think my dick's going? You know, I'm not dragging it across the vacuum.
You got change in there.
Like they say, as long as you like keep proper hygiene, it's better. And it's just like.
But also, too, most people are able to retract theirs over the head of the penis to where it'll look like a dog's dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't able to do that.
The lipstick.
The red rocket.
There was like in basic training, we all shower together, and there was a dude that could pull it back, and I'm like, I can't do that. He's like, you can't? I'm like, no. And he's like, oh, well, I think most people can. And that's when I found out I have unusually tight foreskin, phimosis, and PHIMOSIS. And that's why it made even more sense for me to get it done. So,
but no, I do feel like that it is, I mean, foreskin, it's there for a reason. So I feel like we're cutting it off, you know, not with the consent of the baby, obviously.
Right. And I guess it depends on
it's there for a reason. It's there for a reason. And I feel like that I don't know. I know that like, you
could say the same thing for like other parts, like your tonsils, your appendix, like
your hair.
Yeah. Oh yeah, your hair. Like people cut and shave that all the time. Now, granted, that grows back, but
right.
I don't know, like I was in a history class in college, and we were talking about the Roman Empire, and so the teacher told a bit of a funny story. So, as we all know, circumcision started with the Hebrews. Like, for some reason, God was just like, "Hey, clip that off,
get that shit out of here."
And Abraham or Moses was just like, "All right, if you say so." Anyway, so the big thing was like a lot. So Romans were historically had some anti-Semitic streaks, but at first they were fine because the Hebrews were just like there was a situation like this. All right, so you guys worship one God, kind of weird, but we'll roll with that. You won't hail the emperor as a god. We don't like that, but you're paying your taxes at least. Okay, you're weird, but we'll live with you. Let's go to the Roman bath to celebrate. All right, let's do what we do in a Roman bath. Strip down. What the fuck? Yeah. and that's where anti-Semitism comes from.
It comes from dicks.
What? Wait, are you saying they're chopping off foreskins? I mean, this has.
Yeah, but Jewish people are different because they do the circumcision at 1 year old, not birth. That's where they're different.
The boil. Wait, this had to be
young enough not to remember.
100 AD.
Rabbi who doesn't know.
Wait, this had to be 100 AD. Are you sure about this shit?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, he's as sure as much as history's accurate. Like he wasn't there. Obviously.
If I remember correctly, the first mention that I can remember of circumcision in the Bible or in the Old Testament, which is also the Torah, all that. The first mention was with Moses, like after he left the Pharaoh and he went out into the desert, married the woman. Like if you watch Prince of Egypt, that scene, like while they were heading back to Egypt, like that's when God was just like, hey, circumcise your son real quick.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting story about that. Like speaking of the Torah and the Bible, right? If you look at the Bible and you read about the New Testament God, the New Testament God is really a great guy. He is, especially when you compare him to the Old Testament God, who's kind of a prick. Okay, I don't know what happened to God over time.
I'll tell you what happened. And I got this. This was said by a priest having kids changes everything.
That's what I was about to say. That's what I'm about to say. I don't know if he went to an anger management class or maybe the birth of his son calmed him down. But before he had the kid, holy fuck, he was out of control. Abraham, the first man to have belief in God. And what does God do? Hey, Abe, get your kids together. Let's barbecue them. Moses spends 40 years devoted to getting his people out of Egypt into the promised land. And what does God do? Hey, Mo, guess what? You're not getting in. Kiss my ass. That's a guy you want to work for. You know what I mean?
I get. So I went to 13 years of Catholic school, so I got a fair amount of under my belt. I can explain the Abraham story, but that's not what we're talking about right now.
But am I wrong? Am I wrong for thinking that? It's pretty accurate. But at the same time, if you look at people in the Old Testament, they needed structure, they needed rules. I don't give a fuck what you are. You can't marry a fucking snapping turtle, asshole. Okay, that's what they were doing. People now, despite everything, are a little more structured now. They're not trying to marry a goat as often, right? They needed rules.
But they're structured thanks to the strictness of the Old Testament God.
Yes, but thanks to the fire and brimstone and the Ten Commandments.
Part of the Bible
with Abraham's story, the reason why he almost sacrificed his son was because every other religion, that's what you did. You killed your kid to sacrifice to the God.
That's what God did.
No, that's what every other God did. And the story I heard under study was that
are you quoting DJ Khaled?
Doing what every other culture was doing, and then halfway it's just
DJ Khaled, God did.
No, this is not what God wants me to do. Okay, we're not doing this anymore.
Well, yeah, right. Like he was about to kill Abraham, and God's like, no, I'm just kidding. Don't do it.
Well,
he's like,
okay. What happened culturally, in terms of the Roman Empire, is obviously Constantine in the 300 something BC. I mean, we've all seen or read the Da Vinci Code, but it's true. Constantine unified Rome with Christianity and East and West, and so when the Roman Empire crumbled, a lot of the outside Germany, England, Ireland, all that, all the outside provinces. They all just decided to go in for order because they had no order because they weren't controlled over the Roman Empire anymore.
Right.
Their order was Christianity.
Yeah.
So they became all Christian, and Christianity became their government basically. So it's
Christendom, the Holy Roman Empire, all that.
Right. Well,
yeah.
And
so
one thing,
things rolled by God's will.
Well, and I don't believe every single thing that's written in the Bible. One thing that I think is important, they say not to take God's name in vain, right? Did God say, my name is God? No. When he was talking to Moses in the burning bush, what did he say? He said, tell those whose name it is I am to go do this. But basically he was saying when he gave him the 10 commandments, he said his name is I am. So I don't think taking God's name in vain means saying GD or JC. I think it means saying I am and then anything negative. So whenever you talk bad about yourself, that's taking God's name in vain. That's why you want to use positive affirmations. I am abundant. I am wealthy. I am strong. I am capable. So anytime you say I'm stupid or I'm whatever, that's taking God's name in vain. Never talk bad about yourself, even if it is true. That's the right.
But the 10 Commandments, that shit out the window though. The 10 Commandments, you don't even need them shit.
Hey, wait, say again, Vince.
Wait, Beast. Wait, hold on. What are you saying?
The 10 Commandments, nobody goes by that shit.
How many people have you killed?
Yeah, but wait, we on YouTube, man.
Shit.
Shut up.
Wait, hold on. What? Right.
You're telling me.
Let's go back to that question. How many people have you killed, Beast?
Hey, you in the army. We don't ask those kind of questions.
Yeah,
I'm in the army too.
Oh yeah, okay. You can ask those questions because you are in the army, I guess.
But killing somebody in an act of war is different.
Well, yeah.
The literal translation in the original Hebrew was "you shall not murder."
Right. That's right, and that's different than killing. There's justified killing
on the battlefield versus I don't like that guy. Stab.
There's a lot of murder going on right now.
Or thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. I mean, but I think there's a difference between lying and telling somebody she doesn't look like a cow when she does, than murdering somebody or raping somebody. And I know or commandment, whatever.
You know how many friends I had that had hot fucking girlfriends that I wanted to fuck?
They're not a wife. They're not a wife, are they? That's different.
True. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not a sinner.
That's a loop. You're having premarital sex. So there you go. But I mean, it is what it is, right? But I mean, I don't take everything so literally. I don't think God's going to demonize somebody for being gay. I think God made gay people because he's like, oh shit, there's a lot of fucking people. Abortion can't keep up. Be
Well,
gay.
he wiped out Sodom and Gomorrah for that gay shit though.
No. Sodom and Gomorrah, if you look at the translation, it wasn't that they were just doing gay sex. What they were doing when they said just like, oh, we're going to have sex with you. No, it's we're going to rape you, because at the time, after an invading, rape was used as a humiliation tactic. Like after a battle, the victors would rape the survivors of the defeated army. Just like, yeah, I'm making you my bitch. Like, yeah, this is a humiliation thing. Like,
well, could you explain Caligula? Because when
Caligula,
You're talking about the woman that turned into Great Assault?
No, Caligula was a Roman emperor. He was a
I know. I know. And then he was when somebody gets married, he fucks their wife.
Yeah.
And then he fucks them. I'm like, what
That's
the fuck?
prima nocta.
Yeah, prima nocta the first night. It lets the local lord or king or whoever take the virginity of the bride. Although Caligula also fucking the groom. It's because he's insane. He used to dress up like an animal, like feral, like people tied up and go feral on them, like he'd chew on their genitals. All right.
Yeah, he was crazy.
Now, not speaking from experience, but that sounds really unpleasant. And Caligula,
what does Caligula have to do with the Bible?
Yeah, he was like
he was part of all that shit y'all talking about is in the Bible. All that shit
Caligula's in there?
in Caligula.
Well, he was like the third or fourth Roman emperor. I mean, he was very early on. He was before Christianity.
That's why you don't worship false gods, because they do shit like that.
Oh no, he wasn't a god. Nobody was worshiping his ass.
He was an emperor.
No, he was an emperor. He gets worshipped as a god under the Roman religion.
Yep. Oh yeah. Well, I think also too, like it's just like what happened was like homosexuality has always been around, and in the Greek culture, even the Roman culture. But what I feel like what happened is as far as like what I've read and what I've like seen in documentaries is basically like we need to stop this because first of all, like back then they didn't have enough people, so they need to procreate. And to have more people.
Well, now
so
we're
like homosexuality.
Now we've got too many, but like
so.
What makes me mad about that though is like there's the reason gay people aren't as integrated into our society the way that they should be, or at least not 10 years ago, is because there was no champions for them in Congress or the White House. But there was a senator, I think in Pennsylvania a long time ago, that said homosexuality is a threat to the American family. How? Nobody ever explains it. How? It's not like there's a Jehovah's Witnesses of gaydom that shows up and is like, I brought swatches. No, that doesn't happen. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are a group of gay banditos who get into a van every day, who travel from village to dell with hooded cloaks and matching pumps, very tasteful, and they go to a white picket fence where a new family is just sitting down for their first meal, and they get out of the van and start fucking each other in the ass, and another American family is destroyed. Highly doubt that's fucking happening.
Playing devil's advocate there, people are saying like stuff with pride parades, like the pride parades are pretty sexual, but now there's like all this encouragement of, oh, we should like bring children and expose.
I have a problem with that.
No,
I don't know if that actually happens.
It's going too far.
I'm all for being proud of who you are, but I don't see typically, right, heterosexual people fucking in front of kids. Gay people shouldn't do that either. But I also think that's not every gay person. Those are like the far extremists. Yeah. Just like the far right extremists when it stormed the Capitol, like we were talking about before. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference between the two.
No, well, it's also like people always throw that Leviticus quote of, oh, you shouldn't have gay sex around. But the thing is, first of all, you look at the context of it. That was more so like gay sex as a form of like ritual, like worship of whatever false gods they were talking about.
Right. That's what it was.
It's also it's in the same like taboo, stigma, whatever you want to use the word. It's that same level as eating shellfish, wearing gold.
Yeah, those are big differences,
Getting tattoos, planting two different crops in the same field, wearing a article of clothing made of like two different materials. All right, there were like because here's the thing, like, and this, like, first of all, the Bible was written by humans. It had divine inspiration, but it's not the literal word of God. So
and you can't tell me stuff wasn't lost in translation either. Right.
Second of all, like,
a lot of shit lost in translation.
Second of all, lost in translation. It's 2,000 plus years old. On top of that, like, everyone's always focusing on this Old Testament portion when literally like part of the reason why Jesus came was not to establish Christianity, but to reform Judaism, because at the time they were so caught up in all these ritualistics of it. It's just like, oh, you can never touch someone if they're like on their period or bleeding, or just like, oh, you need to be like ritualistically cleansed. Like all like there were too
They were
much
too orthodox.
in the details that Jesus kind of had to come down and say, guys, you're missing the point. The
Yes.
point is to love one another. Like
Right.
and be kind to each other.
Yeah,
But-
and if
and
you
there's
only
also,
love
like,
those
so
who
much
love
on this,
you,
like nitty gritty, like itty bitty.
Yeah.
bits.
yeah,
but
said, there's like he's like love others as I have loved you, and if you only love those who love thy enemy as I have loved you, because if you
Yeah.
only love those who
Pray
love
for
you,
those who
where is the
curse you.
reward in that? Something like that.
And also, like it's just like the traditions, like just it stemmed from. I mean, it did stem from obviously like what came before, which is worshiping multiple gods,
Sure.
like
Well, also, but like,
Romans, Greeks, all that, like just so like it came like from that, like so like obviously think like well not Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter,
Passover.
yes,
Christmas
Passover.
is fucked up.
It came from yes Judaism, but also paganism is what I was.
Pagan.
Yeah,
I was
well,
looking.
as Christianity was spreading, that's what they did was like it was a big thing of God will meet you in the middle, like so.
Right.
In order, here's the thing, like the Celtic cross, which is the cross with the circle behind it.
Yeah.
That's because when St. Patrick was working with the pagans and the Druids in Ireland, he's just like because they worshipped the circle, which represents the sun, and St. Patrick was just like, hey, look, we're going to put the circle behind the cross because they're wanting to say like the original image of the image everyone has of God is like this bearded old white, like long beard, flowing white robes, all that. That's Zeus. That's a picture of Zeus
Right.
that they use. Like they went to Greece and it's just like, hey, you see that? That's not Zeus. That's God. Like,
well, also a huge reason for that though is the burial cloth of Jesus, the Shroud of Turin, because that has an image of a man with a beard and long hair, kind of like you, Vince, and that largely is where they get. And I'm assuming they imagine, okay, if Jesus looks like this, his dad's older. Let's give him a beard too, and let's make it white, right? And also, too, what's interesting about the Shroud of Turin, the burial cloth of Jesus, apparently they still have it somewhere, but they tested the blood type AB positive, which is a very rare blood type, and they associate that with that being the blood of Jesus. So.
I thought it was
Beast,
wrong.
Beast, I'm here for you, man. You haven't talked a little bit.
What the fuck? Nah, man. I'm good, man. I'm listening to y'all history.
He's digesting all the information.
That's not my history. I'm listening to y'all history.
Hello. What's your history, man? What's your history?
My history. Oh, I know that shit y'all talking about, man. Nah, man, that shit's crazy, yo.
Well, and also too, like with Jewish people, right? Like, I don't blame them for not thinking Jesus was Jesus, because their Torah, I believe, says Jesus is going to be this great, big, powerful warrior, and then you got this layman that's quote unquote doing magic tricks in front of them, and they're like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" If Chris Angel were to come up to you now and be like, "I'm God, watch this cool trick," would some people believe him? Maybe, but I don't blame the majority for not doing so. And I know Jesus did more than just that, but at the same time, it's like from their perspective, that's not who this guy is, and that's why they don't believe. So I think God's going to grade them with a curve, be like, all right, I get it, So
yeah, this is
Judas is fucked regardless,
like
but
when I
there's
seen
some
like
Jewish
when I
people
seen
that'll make it.
like when I seen the Passion of the Christ, I'm like, God damn, they fucked Jesus up. Like,
Well, that was all the Romans,
yeah,
and
he was executed under Roman right. So,
right. But the Jewish people are the one that turn him over to him generally, but because but Pontius Pilate was even like, why do you want to kill this guy? I'm washing my hands of this. Like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, no, it's also, keep in mind, it was the high priests who were threatened. Their personal power was threatened. So they use their influence and some bribes to get people to turn against him.
And they freed Barabbas, who was a murderer and a fucking heathen, but they, in order to,
they didn't reform after he was released.
Right. Well, and like even when Pontius Pilate was talking to Jesus, he's like, I have the power to execute you, right? And he was just like, you have no power over me than what is given you from above, but it is those who brought me to you that have the greater sin, and that's a flex right there. Like he's like, you can't do shit to me.
What happened?
I don't want angels to pull me off this cross. I will, but I got to do it.
I was looking for the sequel though. What happened to the sequel? Was it supposed to be a sequel?
The resurrection.
Yeah,
it's in the making. Mel Gibson, they're working on it.
I heard rumor they're going
to the revenge.
3 days in hell. and then
He
like
comes
having
back with like these holes in his hands, like
the
"Fuck you guys."
stigmata. Who was it like when he came back to the apostles? Like all the apostles just like he's back. I think it was Matthew was just like guys, come on.
Thomas, doubting Thomas. Doubting Thomas.
Doubting Thomas. Thomas was just like, I'll believe him when he stands before me unless we put my finger through the hole in his hand. Turns around, Jesus is right there. Hey, Thomas.
Here you go, dude.
Thomas was a freak. Why you want to stick your finger through this man's hole in his hand?
All right, guys. All
We're
right.
taking it in a different direction.
All right.
You want to wrap up this episode?
Yeah, we're gonna have to sign off here.
All right. Thank you to everyone for tuning in today. Remember to like and subscribe to hear more of the conversations that really matter. Shout out to our panel, Roman, Beast, Vincent. Thank you guys for being here. Our producers and the whole White Wolf team.
Cancer season, baby. Cancer season.
Yeah.
And just remember, be like Jesus and get circumcised.
Yeah. Whether you laugh or cry, you might as well howl with it. Take care, guys.
Did he get circumcised?
Yeah, he was Jewish. He would have been circumcised.